I'm recording. Does it say on your side I'm recording?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we are going to talk about your proposal. I'm going to make this bigger font. Um, we're going to talk about your proposals about like biohazard stations around town. Format, just, where is it? Font, bigger. Okay, so how did you get to this idea? Like, what brought you to it?
Well, I was asking my parents about it because I could not come up with anything. I was like, I had no idea what to do. And so my dad half jokingly said something about, oh, well, you could dispose of needles or do something about needle disposal. And I was like, actually, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it is a problem, especially here in Albuquerque. Some places more than others, but
Right. Does your dad have any connection to that, or was it just like it just popped into his head?
just something that popped in his head because I had said that I wanted to do something that was like community cleanup in sort of a way, like doing the open space or cleaning up parks but then I was like, there's already trash cans and you can only really do so much other than put a bunch of trash cans into parks.
Well, yeah, but and this place is different. When I lived in Monterey, California, there were monthly, I want to say, beach cleanups. Like there was just an organization. I forget. Maybe it was Surfrider. I don't remember who it was, but they would do like these like announcement blasts. This would have been like 2000 to 2012 or 15 or whatever that I lived there. But they would get 30 to 50 people walking the beach with bags and cleaning up the beach, volunteers. So the difference between, huh?
They do that in the open space occasionally.
Oh, is it? Do they?
I don't know how often. Like I did it once for a Girl Scout project.
Yeah. Up in the foothills, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how often they are or if they're still doing them because it was a while ago, but I think that they are or do.
Okay. All right. Let me grab the that like framework out of here. Guidelines. This guy. And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of these questions, okay? And you'll just say whatever you think of. And back there. Okay, so do you want to start with, I think it's easiest to start with the problem. So in your mind, describe the problem, especially like how it affects you or other people. Like how do you get people interested in your problem?
So the angle that I had originally thought about it was that if you go to a park with little kids or whatever, and you're at a playground and there's a needle on the ground, like what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, because you can't really just throw it into the trash can because then that puts other people on who don't know that there's a needle in there, like the city workers who have to take out that garbage because they're just plastic bags.
Yeah.
And so that's them at risk.
Right.
So what do you do if you encounter it? Do you kick it to the side? Do you move it over to somewhere else where it's less out of the way? And that's originally the way I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
But when you were saying that will help like homeless populations or stuff like that, because I know that New Mexico has a needle exchange program. And that's sort of in the same scheme of things. Like if you take out dirty needles off of the parks and stuff like that, like that will also help make those who are addicted to drugs or use the needles or whatever, it'll make it, I guess, safer for them. You can, I mean, they're still doing drugs and addicted to drugs, and that's another thing, but they won't get the HIV or hepatitis or
Right. So,
all that.
one one of the things you might have to discuss is the problem of people that are addicted to heroin. It's the drug addiction, job problems. You have many multiple things
Yeah.
that are involved in this one problem that you're identifying. And so
Yeah.
like the typical pushback you're going to get against something like this is, well, how's that going to help people with their heroin use? It's like, well, you're one person, you're trying to do one task that fits into a larger problem. You're not trying to solve the huge problem. I mean, why aren't you curing world peace? What's wrong with you? Right?
Yeah.
Get on it, man.
And so the angle that I was probably going to take is that it just makes it safer for kids who are at parks and who don't know any better, or if
Yeah.
they trip and fall, they're not stabbing themselves with the dirty needle type of thing.
Right.
And maybe throwing in, well, this also helps getting dirty needles off the streets for those who are addicted, and that not being my main focus, but more like another selling point type of thing.
Yeah. I see needles frequently on just, I would say, what, 4 or 5 times a week on the bike path. And there are homeless people. Like, do you know the North-South Diversion Channel Trail?
Mm-hmm.
So on that bike path, they're constantly on that path. So the question I ask myself is, if I were a parent bringing my young child out to ride on that path, would I be discouraged from taking my child on the bike path? And then by analogy, like, would I be just discouraged if, like, if there are people there using needles, would I be discouraging my children from even going there? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
This is it's a chicken and egg problem that we're discussing. So like, you're proposing having a place to dispose of your needles, which I think is a good idea. So I'm trying to be like devil's advocate, right? So like, will the parents be motivated to bring their children to that park if they know that there is a disposal site for needles there? Or would they be less motivated to bring their kids to the park because they know that there are people there who are using needles? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. And so a problem that I foresaw is that, do you target a specific section of the city, or do you put them in all the public parks?
Oh, to destigmatize it.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's like
Okay.
they're like the poop cleanup thing. Like, and that's just what it is. Like, it's just there. It's not in a specific section of the city.
That's interesting. So if you put them in all parks, that
Because
tells, what does that tell people?
yeah.
Because
I think
they're cheap, right?
huh?
I mean, those things, they're just like little post boxes. I don't know how cheap or expensive they would be. Maybe they're expensive. I don't know.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
then the other
keep
reason
going.
I wanted to include like a hand washing station or like a hand sanitizer station is because, would parents who are there with their kids be more willing to pick up the needle and put it into the disposal if there is then some way that they can clean their hands?
Mhm.
Or like putting like little, because at UNM in the sub they have little tiny tissues that you can take right next to the door to pull the door handle open.
Oh, I haven't seen
So
that.
if you do, they have them in the women's restroom at least. So
Okay.
if it's something like that, but I don't know if that would then create more waste or be too expensive, or would people like abuse that and be like, oh, I need a tissue, so I'm just gonna grab this, as opposed to then it just being like hand sanitizer.
Right. So you're thinking provide some method for just your regular person who's not using drugs to be able to clean up after, like picking up people's litter, you know, but to be safe about it, right?
Yes. Like if
Um,
I went to up the park down the street from me with my cousins and I saw a needle, just
yeah,
having somebody to pick it up and then dispose it so it's not a risk to other people in the community.
yeah. Um, how uh, how how often do you pick up trash in the street?
It
Don't think too long.
depends on where I am, I think, or like
Oh,
what I'm doing. But usually if I'm like walking through the park and I see like a bag of chips crumpled up,
uh-huh.
like I'll grab it and throw it in a trash can or something like that. Or I
Okay,
do that in space too. I'll like carry a bag with me, and when I'm hiking in the foothills,
good.
I'll pick it up and put it in the bag that I have and then throw it away.
Yeah,
Although generally I've noticed that the foothills are not as dirty because I feel like the people who are utilizing them are the type of people who will not
yeah.
throw their granola bar wrapper on the
Right,
ground.
right. People respect that area. So there's like two classes of people: people who don't litter,
Mm-hmm.
and keep these people into separate buckets. People who don't litter and they clean up other people's stuff. Um, so until I moved, I'm impressed that you do it like in the city or up in the foothills. I didn't do it until I moved to California, and I was like, you just see other people doing it all the time. Like I think it's part of that, what I was talking about, that beach cleanup
Yeah.
crew.
And it also depends on what it is. Like I'm not gonna pick up a dirty sock. I like if
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I'll
No
throw it
wonder.
away. But
Yeah, like a chip bag, totally. Yeah,
yeah, there's certain things I won't touch.
right.
So, but I'm thinking that if like someday when I'm a mom, if I am at the park and I see a needle, if I have a place to put it to throw it away,
Yeah.
I would utilize that station.
So have you looked around? Like, is there? I mean, there's the boxes like you see in a doctor's office, but I
Yeah.
don't know what these things look like. Are they the same? Are they the same receptacle like out in a park, or does it look different?
I've never seen them in a park, but I imagine it would probably be the same, except maybe a little bit more heavy duty
Yeah,
and with like a lock. So that way then people
can't break
like
in.
addicts could not get into the box and then take all the disposed dirty needles.
Yeah. But if there's a new needle exchange, do you know whether there's a needle exchange in Albuquerque? Did you already say that?
Yeah, there is. There's
There is.
in all in New Mexico, yeah.
Say that again.
There's
What?
it's in New Mexico.
New
It's not like
Mexico.
there's specific places you have to go to exchange your needle.
Yeah. So these in that case, um, I imagine there's got to be several in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah.
So if you have several specific places in Albuquerque, it seems logical to locate those uh, needle disposal sites in those same neighborhoods. But I'm also interested in this idea of putting them in all parks.
Yeah.
Um,
Another thing that I'm like thinking through now is that it could be up to like an extension of the needle exchange program who could be doing this, and they are
Oh,
the ones
yeah.
who then go and get the needles, as opposed to having your city worker, or I don't know who it is who goes and gets the garbage and the trash out of the trash cans at the parks, but it could be them having to do it because they probably have safe
Yeah.
needle handling
Uh,
practices.
right. They have the training, right?
Yeah. And they probably have like needle stick insurance and all that other stuff. And I don't know. I honestly don't know if like the city garbage workers have needle stick insurance.
What is needle stick insurance?
So if you get stuck by a needle of any sort,
Yeah.
you then it like pays for treatment and testing to see if you contracted like hepatitis or stuff like that. And so you
Wow.
have to, a lot of hospitals, you have to pay if you're working, you have to get needle stick insurance. Like when I was a volunteer
Mm-hmm.
at UNMH, part of their volunteer program is that they had needle stick insurance. So if you got stuck with a needle, then UNMH's insurance that they had would cover it.
Okay. So you have the insurance via the hospital you work for.
Yes. But there's a lot of other like companies and industries that have it too,
Okay.
I would imagine. If
Okay.
if there's any reason that you might encounter needles in your job, it's they probably have it.
Yeah. Um,
Which to me in Albuquerque would make sense that the garbage people would have it because I mean, I really don't know the how often or whatever the drug addicts or whoever throw needles into like the dumpster, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have a system or a habit or
yeah.
I mean, who knows? When I see needles on the bike path, they're just laying, on the pavement. Maybe they're passed out at the time they're dropping it on the ground. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, another possibility, the outcomes. Okay, I'm also thinking. Um, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. Another outcome. So this type of outreach could it, I mean, I imagine one of the problems with helping people with drug addiction is just gaining trust, right? Like being able to convince them that um, they can they can believe what you're saying or take your advice or whatever it is. So this type of outreach could get you like more, help me, you know what I mean? Contact,
Yeah.
personal
More like
connection.
yeah.
Um, yeah, add to the problems up here, just mental psychological problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a bigger problem that exists than you are treating, but you're just trying to carve out one small part of it.
Yeah.
Um, so have you heard of any of programs like this that have been successful? I'm thinking, I mean, San Francisco, dude. San Francisco there has to be something,
Yeah.
right? Because
There's in Albuquerque, and I don't know how well it works or what the system is, but there is an app that if you see a needle, you can just report the location of the needle and then someone comes and gets it
mm-hmm.
eventually, but I don't know the response time, how well it actually works. I mean, if it I mean, all it really takes is 5 minutes for someone else to see the needle and then grab it and then go use it. Or it only takes 5 minutes for some kid to trip over it and stab themselves in the knee with it.
Right. Yeah, like in a park.
Yeah, so if something was just there, that then a parent or guardian or even just any park goer could pick it up and throw it into the biohazard thing that's right next to where the dog
Oh, the
that
dog
dog
bags.
cage station is. Yeah.
Yeah, so combine, where is it? Where is it? Put them in all parks. Next to dog, poo, bags. So trash can, poo bags, put your needle in here. This app seems so strange. I mean, does it seem like a good idea to you?
I feel like it's one of those, in theory, yes, but in practice, I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe they have a geolocator thing, but like if there's a needle there and I say, hey, it's in this park, kind of over by that tree planter right there, like, are they going to find it? Or if it's in the grass, good luck.
Or like if it takes them 2 hours, like I mean
The wind
something.
blows it away. Yeah.
And then, like, because then the other thing is that it sort of seems like a waste of resources, because then if you send someone out 2 hours later and they're
Right.
humming and hawing looking for this needle
Yeah.
that may or may not still be there, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem efficient.
Yeah. Could that
Or
person do more other more productive work or something? Right. Um, yeah. I mean, it seems like it would be enough to use plastic, latex gloves to just pick it up on the side, right?
yeah,
I would do it. I mean,
yeah. So the
I've cleaned
problem is
needles off the beach. Anyway, sorry, go.
they're expensive and having to restock latex gloves. And again,
Oh,
people use it and stuff. So that's why my emphasis was just on a hand washing, like a hand sanitizing station,
yeah.
because I think overall that would be cheaper than latex gloves or tissues.
Um, well, wait a minute. The poo bags. The poo bags are already there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a glove. It can just be some
Like a
plastic
sheet.
barrier.
Yeah.
I mean, the poo bags are free. They're free in lots of parks.
Yeah.
They have to be cheap enough. So some
They could
poo,
just like double stock the poo bags and then that'd be what people use is.
I mean, they're designed glove-like, but you just don't, I mean, obviously you don't want to do that because then you could stick your other hand.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Because I mean, you could just like put it on like a glove, pick it up and then put it in and then just take the glove off the like inverse way that you do when it has dog poop in it and then just throw it away.
right. The thing I worry about is like if people have poop bag muscle memory, and once you pick the thing up, your other hand automatically does that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is
And you,
why they could just do like, I mean, another, it would be kind of complicated and I probably will not tackle it in my actual proposal, but they could use recycled plastic bags
mm-hmm.
that people take back to the grocery store. I mean, I know that the city banned all of single-use plastic bags, but like me, I still have like 50 million of them in my house because I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you kept up those recycling programs and then just cut them up, or I don't know how they would do that or who would do it, but just cut it up and then just put them in as like sheets that are like this big to then just use to grab the needles.
Right, like it wouldn't have to be any more complicated. When you go to like a bakery, a self-service bakery, and you have to grab one of those little squares, right? It
Yeah.
wouldn't have to be any more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Like when you're going to pick up a croissant or whatever.
Yeah.
And um,
I mean, you could probably even just use those and just order them.
so, okay. So proposal one is your big plan. Proposal two, what's the thing we're calling this? Like your prophylactic?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Is that spelled right? Is it one L?
I have no idea how to spell it. I'm not gonna lie.
One L, because two L's I think has to do with turning sunlight into energy through plants.
Oh.
What prophylactic will people actually use?
Yes. And it could be a combination of both. It could be the little bakery paper things
Yeah,
and also sanitizer.
yeah, bakery sheet squares, um, hand sanitizer. So you could be, I mean, maybe actually proposal, let's call this 0.5, like this would come before your big plan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like you you can choose which one of these you would want to tackle. Maybe both. I don't know. But like I think it's a good question. Like what buy-in are you gonna get from people in these parks, and does that differ by neighborhood? Um, you know, and you can also like I was saying, it seems like San.
Oh, wait, I can hear you now, I think.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Can I
It
get
came
my,
back.
I need my power cord. All right. So, oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to try recording from here. My computer earlier said that it had to shut down and restart. So we'll see if it works. But I need here. Okay. So let's go back over here. Yeah, I was trying to type this. Did you see that? Okay.
Were you able to see the chat? The Zoom chat?
No, like Zoom was totally frozen.
Oh, that's weird.
So I sent you an email, but that didn't work. All right. So let's see. Now, we were last at, what were we doing last before my computer stalled?
What the prophylactic that people will use, and you were talking about in San Francisco.
Right. So I guess I would say, yeah, like if you start Googling around, have you Googled around for needle exchanges?
Not really. Like, I think it's still sort of a taboo thing because people are like, why are you giving out clean needles after people give it to you? And so there's a lot of like controversy behind it.
Yeah. And I remember the controversy up in Vancouver, BC.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up there in Vancouver like shortly after they started their needle exchange. And so God, it's been a long time. It's been like probably 20 years. Yeah, if you see you use needle, here's how to do it. Rubber, leather gloves, tongs, pliers, puncture resistant plastic container. Ooh. So do they have containers? Supervised consumption, that I remember that. That's like, that's where you can go to actually, shoot your drugs.
Yeah.
Oops.
It may not be that Vancouver does it the best, but they are like one of the older cities who have done this. So it might be worth looking at what they've done. Oh, and it only, so I don't know that they have the, the little boxes that you're talking about.
I think that's the way New Mexico does it too, is you can just take it to these places, but while I would pick it up, I don't necessarily want to have to drive around with it.
Oh, and bring it to an office. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. Discarded needle pickup. That's what you want. It's the same. Call the hotline. This has to, it's the same that you were talking about in Albuquerque. It's got to be like an insurance thing.
Yeah.
I mean, needle exchanges make sense because the drug user has an incentive to return the needle and not drop it in the street.
Correct.
But that's if you're thinking clearly. And some people don't think clearly, right?
Definitely.
Let's try. Another place, you may also get rid of syringe access disposal programs. You might also try going outside of the United States, like I'm thinking Sweden, Great Britain.
Yeah.
So that guy, I mean, you can see that guy's got a little canister. Oh, he's using a like tongs.
And that's all you would really need at a park, except then maybe put a lock on it.
17 outdoor sharps containers for disposal throughout the city. So this is a specific team that does it and putting it into those things. Like that's the same container you see in the doctor's office.
And like the thing, like UNM is in the bathrooms in the sub, they have biohazard needle disposal things.
Oh, for diabetics, right? Well,
so why can't,
right.
Whatever, they're whoever uses them. So but that's part of the issue with putting these out next to the dog poo bags.
But the assumption in the bathroom at UNM is that the people who are inside UNM are not going to break into that plastic container and try to steal needles.
Yeah. But the other thing you have to consider too is that, I mean, it has to be easy for them, I think, to even try to break into it. And so if there's any amount of any type of difficulty, like they aren't going to go to extreme lengths to try and
Yeah.
break into the thing. So if it's locked and they can't get into it easily,
Right,
I think just call it quits and say whatever
right.
and try something else.
You know, and you see like locked, in public parks, you see trash cans that have locked lids so people can't dig around in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just metal with a padlock on it. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that you have in your favor is if you have a person in the street who does break into a box like that and somehow gets infected or injured or for whatever reason, they're extremely unlikely to sue your little organization.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're not going to have allies to help them out.
Exactly.
So, well, the first thing you should consider as you're working on this proposal is this is a long-standing problem. You know, we're looking at what 30, 40 years of needles in the street, right? And I don't know if there's any city that has done this correctly. New York City back in the 70s and 80s had terrible problems. So you could look at New York City, San Francisco, maybe Great Britain, or Sweden. Since they have socialized healthcare, that might make a difference.
Yeah.
And okay. Trying to think of what other question I want to ask you that's in this outline. So, when you hit this outline, the causes are huge. Like I already put in here somewhere. Where do I have that line about, drug addiction and mental psychological problems? You can acknowledge that the causes of the problem are huge, and and just acknowledge that you're not going to cure all of the problems. The effects of the problem, if nothing is done, parks are unusable. The park downtown, I can't even think of the name of the park. There's one park that is heavily populated by homeless people, and I wonder what the situation is with that one. Do you know the one I'm talking about? I don't know the street. It's like Second Street, 5th Street, somewhere in there near the freeway, near Highway 40.
The only one that I can think of downtown is where they do the farmers market.
Oh yeah, that may be another one. No, it's there's a park that is mostly populated with homeless people. And I wonder what the Needle situation is like there. It's that little one right there. So university is there,
Mhm.
and it's that little patch of green right there.
Oh, okay.
Do you know that? Have you been near there or no?
No, I don't think so. Because I'm usually further down before I get off the highway.
Oh, okay. It's an interesting park. I recommend at least cruising by it sometime. Yeah, you're thinking of, where is
I'm
it?
closer to Lomas, or maybe even right off of Lomas.
Yeah, it's like right in here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. It's been a while since I've been there. So, so see what, try to, I mean, you have ideas. See what kind of ideas you can brainstorm for, the solution, the objectives, and what
Okay.
the things that are not, state that are not objectives might be important for you. I'll email this all to you.
Okay.
Because I think with projects like this, you have to say as much about what you plan to do as what you are not gonna do.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you want to give it like, think about it for a couple days and see, like, send me back ideas that you have. You want
Yeah.
to try something like that?
Yeah. It might
Um,
be a rough draft planning out.
just a draft or an outline, whatever state it's in,
Okay.
doesn't matter. Okay, so so think about filling in some of those other ideas, and then send me back any ideas that you have, and then I'll make comments. You want to put it on a Google Doc and I'll make comments there?
That works.
Okay. All right. Well, I salute you for trying to improve the world. It's not easy.
All right.
Yeah, it's a
I'll send
tough.
you the link to the Google Doc once I get it going.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to chop up the part where I had technical issues, but I'll post this so everybody else can like get ideas from your ideas.
Okay, that works.
Okay, cool. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. See ya.
Later. Bye.